Okay, welcome back. A relationship reimagined. What does the future hold for the UK and India together? It's my pleasure to be joined by Ellis, British High Commissioner to India, who's just told me he used to do a chat show or two in Brazil back in the day.
That's true.
And speaking in Portuguese.
Sim.
Wow. Because I watched a couple of his videos on YouTube where he interviews Indian cricketers, which leads me to my first question. Ellis, British High Commissioner, in 1975, on the 7th of June, was at the first ever World Cup final, Cricket World Cup final, West Indies versus Australia.
Yeah.
He also was at the World Cup final at Lord's in 1983, June 25th, which of course India won. What are your memories of those incredible 2 days?
Let me not waste the entire 15 minutes talking about those.
Well, which is tempting.
I remember the increasing disbelief. I remember Viv Richards thinking he was going to win the game in 1983 in about 5 minutes. It was the most extraordinary attack. And then the Indians won. They just won. They did. It was a totally extraordinary day. I remember disbelief, kind of ecstasy of the Indian fans. Fantastic catch by Kapil Dev is the thing I remember the most. Anyway.
And it inspired you to be an opening batsman, correct?
Shrikant, actually, he was a bit of a hero.
Who you've interviewed.
Yeah.
I watched Bishan Bedi at Lord's in '79. My father took me, and that inspired me to become a spinner. So I've always loved Bishan Bedi. He's my hero. And I was at the England World Cup final in 2019 when we beat New Zealand. So I know what it's like to win a World Cup. It feels good, doesn't it?
It feels very good. I was there as well.
Oh, were you there as well? Yeah. It was one of them. I'm sure you all followed it. I hope you were all supporting England, not New Zealand. Anyway, you've been in the post for just over a year. I think you started in January 2021. How have you seen the trajectory of India-UK relations during that time? A lot's happened.
A lot has happened.
Yes.
I mean, you don't start from scratch. This is an old, complicated relationship. I've got people that are more able than me in this audience to chronicle that. What there is a sense of renewed purpose to it, partly because of the way the world is turning, partly because the prime ministers get on, partly because I think the Indian government sees some opportunities from the UK outside the European Union, whether it's on migration policy or on trade policy. So the kind of stars are aligned, and that doesn't always happen. So when they are, you've got to get on with it, and I feel a tremendous sense of urgency.
Tell us about the relationship, because Prime Minister Johnson was recently in India.
Yep.
It was, let's be honest, slightly overshadowed by what's going on here politically, but we won't go into that. We discussed that with Malcolm Rifkin, and who was very funny. What's their relationship like?
So first of all, I've done quite a lot of Prime Minister's visits over the years. Yes. They're always dominated by what's going on back home, because it's just kind of how life is. Yeah. But I think that what the Prime Minister is doing is establishing a much deeper relationship of trust between the two countries, and that is very important. And yeah, you can see they get on. They don't waste their words. They get straight to it. They rattle through the stuff.
How do they deal with the tricky stuff, such as India's stance on Ukraine? You know, the more
surely that's a test of a kind of more mature relationship, is you can deal with the tough stuff. You can talk about it directly. It's okay to disagree. What I think from our side is very important not to do is to be seen in any way to lecture, and the Prime Minister didn't do that, and I think people recognise that and appreciate it.
Yeah. Do you think the deal, the FTA, it's going to happen? Diwali, October? Yeah, is it achievable? Because you read the press, some say, it's got to be done, or with the election cycle, it's not going to happen. Yeah,
I think it needs to be done. I think it will be done, actually, because both sides, for similar reasons, the ones I gave earlier, there is a strategic reason for doing it, as well as an economic reason for doing it. And I think for the UK, that's quite a step, because it's the first time we do a new FTA with a country which doesn't have a GDP similar to ours. India's a completely different shape to Australia or Canada or New Zealand, but that is why we have to do it. When the UK and India can agree on something, that has quite a powerful effect. And I think the strategic drivers will push us in that direction.
From a UK standpoint, if the FTA happens, it's not a fact you're going to sell it to the country. How does that lift the mood post-Brexit when, as you say, we've got the Australia deal, we've got the New Zealand deal. Yeah. Would an India deal really seep out into the public consciousness and make people aware, hey, the UK can do this. We can strike deals. We can go out there in the world.
Sure, and I think India is also doing the same thing now, rattling through trade deals. And it's not coincidental that we're doing deals with fairly similar countries, because there is a sense of there's a bit of geopolitics in it. But also because there is no EU deal with India, and therefore the UK, rather than replicating or creating a deal with a country which the EU already had a deal with, this would be a new thing. And in my view, you need these agreements so that when there are always squalls in the UK-India relationship, but you need the solidity of agreements in order to be able to withstand those. So
What are those at the moment?
Squalls.
Yeah,
I don't talk about them. I think that it's inevitable. This is a complicated. We are the former colonial power. That is going to condition a bit the way people will see us. And I, coming into the room as a High Commissioner, I have to understand that. I have to respect that. People will judge us and be quick to see what we're doing and say, is that the right thing to do? We're not happy about that. And you have to deal with it. But the point is not to pretend it isn't there. The point is to deal with it, but always looking to create stuff for the next 25 years. You've got to respect the last 75, the last 300, but you've got to look ahead.
Yeah. Tell us about the groundwork of the British High Commission in India, because many won't know, what you do. There's many things you do.
This is the question my mother always asks me still.
What do you do?
What exactly do you do?
My mother's the same.
Yes.
But you do a lot. It's about the forward-looking. It's about trade. It's about health. It's about security. I mean, but break it down for us.
Well, I mean, you've got to have the top level, which is the agreement between the two prime ministers, which they reached last May.
Yeah.
And then from that, you have exactly those 5 pillars you've described. And then you've got to turn it into things that happen. You've got to make sure you are signing an FTA. You've got to make sure you fulfill the trade agreements, which we did already. You've got to manage the odd score when people raise issues around our vaccine policy, for example. So you've got to react to the events, but always be looking for that positive agenda, whether it's on mobility, whether it's on creating greater trust between the two governments on defence and security, because I think we're going to need more of that over the next 10 years, and we can do that together. So you're trying to negotiate agreements, you're trying to see across the whole piece, you're trying to make sure our services work well. Everyone will know the visa system's under pressure at the moment, but we're turning stuff around quicker than most other countries. Because those are crucial enablers to making sure that the kind of talented people can flow.
Fostering the living bridge.
Fostering the living bridge.
It's so important, isn't it?
Great words. Yeah,
are we there?
That is a kind of eternal question. But I think this year, by the way, we will have the most number of government scholarships, achieving scholarships we've ever had, 75. I want to thank HSBC and one or two others who are supporting that. Secondly, I think this year, India could become the #1 source of students, overseas students coming to the UK. It was almost 100,000 last year. I think it could go higher this year and overtake China. And these would be great things, to be honest. Also trying to create, I mean, they sound dull, but they're important, basic policies. For example, today we launched the Open General Export Licence for people who want to export controlled goods, sometimes weapons, from UK to India. That is a new step which the government has put in place to make life easier. Some of it is kind of fun and glamorous, some of it is prosaic, but really necessary, making sure things can happen more easily.
We're trying to wean India off its sort of relationship with Russian weapons.
I mean,
how does that all tie in?
To just take the premise of your question, India will do what India wants is in its interest to do. The question is, how can we work with India on that?
Yeah.
You know, us going and saying, we want to win you. India go, no, we decide for ourselves.
Yeah.
But on imported hydrocarbons, India wants to shift towards renewables. It wants to move away from having so much Russian material. And so those are opportunities which we should be taking and working with India to make that happen. But that requires the trust, which is the political relationship, but then working one step down. But the kind of final thing I think, if I think about the next 25 years, I'd like to happen, is that the UK knows more about the reality of India today. You know, you have a lot of people who know about the reality of the UK, I think, today, but we need more British students going there. We have a lot of British investment, we need more British students, more people who begin to understand this is what India is actually like.
What's stopping that happening?
I think that it is beginning to happen, but for a long time we were obviously very European focused for understandable reasons. But now, you know, the future, India is a fantastic opportunity for the next 25 years. And you kind of want more of the talented people to be discovering it and to taking some risk in it.
You first went to India when? You were
1986.
You were a teacher, 1986.
Yeah.
What was your initial impression of India and how has it changed from 86? I asked Malcolm Rifkin this when he was 17. He went to India. Wonderful story. So then and now.
So some things in India don't change. It's the oldest country I have ever been to. in terms of its cultural cultures. I've never been in a country with such depth of culture at all levels of society. But what has happened is that the cork has been popped of India's entrepreneurship. The entrepreneurial nature of India is just extraordinary. And you just feel that the whole time you're there, the energy there.
Harmin Mehta was saying earlier, we love solving problems. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
That drives the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, and that is, you see that everywhere. That is the big change when I lived there before.
Why, can we bottle it up and bring it back here?
Yes.
We're not bad as entrepreneurs.
But part of the living bridge is that.
Yes.
It's kind of moving between the two countries and having more people who can find it easy to move between the two and are investing in the two
Is
countries.
it less in our culture, like as Harmin said? You know, we just love to solve problems. What,
The UK, others can speak better than that, but no, I think we're pretty good at it. I think we are actually quite kind of edgy and adaptable, and I think we also benefit enormously from the Indian diaspora here.
Yes.
And actually, some of the most talented entrepreneurs are coming into the country from elsewhere and then creating stuff themselves because they're not sitting inside a kind of bureaucratic system like me. They are kind of, right, what can we do? I mean, you know, that's true in politics, it's true in business, it's true in academia as well, actually.
how does High Commissioner to India differ from Ambassador to Brazil, Ambassador to Portugal, was it? Yeah. How do those roles differ?
I'm in charge of the biggest diplomatic network anywhere we have anywhere in the world, so it's big. It is a huge growth opportunity for the next 25 years. And it's got some politics, and you have to walk just that bit more carefully. If
You like the politics?
I love the diplomacy of it. I find it completely fascinating. How do you present yourself and work? It's like any country in the world. Respect it, understand it. I mean, India does take at least 7 lives to understand. But
what life are you on?
I've no idea, but I feel I've got a way to go. And you've got to show, in my job, you have to show respect for the place you're in.
Yeah. Let's bring on our other guests. We've got 3 other guests, 1 virtual, 2 in spirit, physical, I mean, coming on stage. Mohandas Pai, I've got to move to my left, by the way, I've been told, so please stay there, High Commissioner. Mohandas Pai is co-founder and chairman of Aarin Capital. He's joining us virtually. Mohandas, I hope you can hear us. Nikhil Kamath is co-founder of
True Beacon.
Oh, brilliant. We can hear you. We can't see you, but I know it'll happen. Nikhil, come and sit down. And Jaynti Kanani is also with us, co-founder and CEO of Polygon. Mohandas, you are passionate about India's startups, India entrepreneurship. We were just talking, the High Commissioner, and you heard it probably, about this just wonderful entrepreneurship, this startup nature in India. What is it, Mohandas? What is it about this wonderful country that produces such entrepreneurs and such a wonderful startup environment?
Well, you must know that India is an entrepreneurial country, like the High Commissioner said, and we have a great number of entrepreneurs. We've been a free trade market throughout our history till 1950, and we've done very well. We are once the richest country in the world. Now we see a young generation of entrepreneurs coming up using technology to create new businesses, new engines of growth, and great innovation. You have Nikhil Kamath there with you, and Nikhil is a epitome of how to build a great business. He and his brother have built Zerodha with zero capital, and they are worth many billions of dollars today and making enormous amount of profits, and the largest trading platform for the stock market in India with maybe 9-10 million. I don't know how many millions he added today. So we are seeing this kind of growth. To give you some data, we have 104 unicorns who have created about $400 billion of value. We invested about $112 billion from 2014 till now. We had about 16 unicorns coming up this year from January. I think it's 20 unicorns because June is over, from January to June. And by 2025, we'll be about 250 unicorns. And we'll be a $1 trillion digital economy in the startup ecosystem, which is today close to $500 billion and maybe more. So we are seeing a digital revolution in play, led by young entrepreneurs leveraging technology. We have 5 million people working in technology. Bangalore has 2.1 million people in technology, the highest for any city in the world, much more than Silicon Valley. And by 2030, we'll have maybe 15-18 million technology people working there. all across India, because we are hiring nearly 1.5 million people in technology this year and next year. You can imagine the kind of excitement there is, the kind of growth there is, and that is what makes us all passionate. So I'll just end by saying, I like the High Commissioners making a statement for the next 25 years. We got to look forward. And I think the UK and India should build a digital high-tech partnership, because we are living in the digital world, and this is what is going to create a $10 trillion economy for India by 2032.
A digital high-tech partnership. Nikhil, Mohandas basically did my introduction for me, so I don't need to say anything about what you've achieved. But how do we build that digital high-tech partnership? I mean, what Mohandas said then, you could just cut it and put it on social media, and that's everything you need to know about India, its entrepreneurship and startup nature. How do we forge an even closer relationship when it comes to digital and technology?
Yeah, so culturally, I think we've always been close, the UK and India. But if you look at trade between the two countries, I don't think we're at the level that we should have been, considering the history we've shared. A lot of it could be to do with things like capital controls. It's hard for Indians to invest outside of India, and probably hard for people from here to come in there and invest. I would say one of the solutions at the very beginning is probably to get boots on the ground in a way, get more Indian tech entrepreneurs to spend time here in the UK. Like we were talking earlier, Alex was saying how they will do something to make the visa process easier, instigate people from there who are doing well in tech to spend time here. And we should do the same for the people here. And I think when you put a bunch of entrepreneurs together in a room and they kind of like spend a lot of time together, I think ideas could develop from there very organically.
Jaynti, what do you think? Besides getting these wonderful entrepreneurs in a room together, which is a fantastic idea, what else can we do to build that bridge to ensure that it's got a nice free flow of talent between both sides?
Yep. So I always talk about two things. So one word is a non-crypto world and one word is a crypto world. So people always go with the simple financial world and saying, okay, let's build the bridges between the countries and create a platform to start a conversation. In crypto world, mostly everything is kind of global to start with, right? For example, we started out of India when there was no blockchain or crypto world at all, right? And we raised money outside India, from outside India. Like we had investors from US, we had investors from Asia. So if you if you think about like a blockchain, crypto world or next generation tech world, most of the time, like if you attract like good talent, as Nikhil said, would be enough, right? For example, Dubai is trying to kind of get some people from India to Dubai itself, and many have moved there, right? And it created the ecosystem there, right? Now, like people just talking, meeting every day over the weekends, sharing the new ideas and creating the whole.
What's going to get you back to India? Why Dubai? Tell us why you're not in India, staying in India. Why Dubai?
For the Dubai,
what do they need to do to tempt you back? Because I'm sure they'd like to have you back.
Definitely. So Dubai has the advantage of having kind of good time zone. First of all, easy access to everywhere. For example, like we are traveling a lot to New York, UK, everywhere. So Dubai is a best good hub. UK is definitely a second good hub for that. But visa process again, like is very painful here and it's very hard to get here. So there is one thing you can kind of think about, like releasing for this visa processes and the other processes, investing processes for the entrepreneurs and other next generation entrepreneurs, basically, that would kind of create the whole ecosystem here.
Mohandas, you're smiling as I speak to Jaynti. Why are you smiling?
Well, I'm sure they all gone to Dubai as they've got better regulations for crypto. There's more capital available there, a much freer market, and they set in new norms. So I guess Dubai is becoming the crypto center for the entire world, and young people who are innovators will go to places which are got easy on regulation and which allow them to grow. Just like people came to London, remember when they could build a global business. But I want to take off from what Nikhil said. What do we do next for the UK and India since the High Commissioner is here? We got to build bridges between the innovation centers. Cambridge has got a beautiful high-tech biotechnology center. Put them in touch with CCAM, our biotechnology hub in Bangalore, and create a biotechnology accelerator in Bangalore. Create a incubation hub from the UK, East London, I think, up to T-Hub in Hyderabad. Get them all together, create that living bridge, and then create a high-tech manufacturing, space technology, or electronic technology, or 3D printing, which UK is very good, deep technology with Bangalore. So we got to connect this kind of network and create a network and do joint R&D. Imperial College should work with our Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. Bangalore has got an art park, an artificial research technology park. Why can't Imperial College do something with Bangalore in the art park? So they work together. We can do so many things in so many different areas which are redefining the future. What I would like is for young people in UK to come together and reimagine the business with young people from India like Nikhil and everybody else who's come there for this iGlobal event, and see in the next 25 years what are the things we must invest in. And let me make a confession. People in power in the UK and people in power in Delhi are part of the old generation. Barring Prime Minister Modi, I think in Delhi, they're not very attuned to what is happening in the digital world. The future is digital. And you've got the best people sitting there on the dais with the High Commissioner, and they can make the magic work.
The future is digital, isn't it, Alex? Isn't it?
Yeah, it is already.
Yes.
I mean, the present is digital, frankly. It's just how much more digital? A lot more, I think, is the answer.
Yeah. I mean, you've heard them all speak.
Yeah. What can governments do? So first of all, don't get in the way, because that is kind of what a government has to do. You can think together. I agree. You can think together, including about things like future crypto regulation and stuff like that, because we're going to have to do more of that. You can research together, you can enable research together, I completely agree, because you do have centres of excellence in both the UK and India. You need an FTA which is actually going to help. India is quite cautious about liberalisation of digital, I understand that, but if Indian companies are going to go international, they're going to need to, you're going to have to allow the flow of data. That is always a delicate political issue in any country, but I think that is something which we are going to have to crack over the next few years, how we do that. And you're right, you just have to put the talented people together. Actually, the UK has some fantastic ecosystems for tech, and you see that in certainly in the city we're sitting in now. And you just have to enable that and not stop it, is the simple answer. I don't think the UK is never going to be Dubai. It's a different sort of a country. Right. And that's fine, but I think we do have to offer something which is going to attract the world. One of the great things about this country is it does attract talent from all over the world. It's an unusually global place, and we have to continue to do that and not be complacent.
Nikhil, you've shaken up broking, you're shaking up wealth, ultra high net worth individuals, high net worth individuals, you're disrupting the asset management industry. How? What drives you to just keep on getting better, doing new things, shaking up the industries that you've shaken up so far?
Yeah, so to be really candid, I don't think we did anything path-breaking. At the very core of all that we do, we try to bring in simplicity, and we built a simpler solution to everything which had a very complicated solution in place. And I think that might have worked for us quite a bit. And I have to say for Alex, I had the privilege of going to meet Alex in his home in Delhi when he first arrived in India. I think Alex is the picture that the UK should be selling. You know, here's this High Commissioner who rides a cycle everywhere, comes to Bangalore and eats dosas, and how approachable he is. If people in India were to recognize that level of approachability and we were to reciprocate, I think a lot more trade would happen between the two countries.
Mohandas, let's clap. Are you clapping? Are you clapping, Mohandas? Is that right? The approachability.
Yeah, approachability, yes. Because, you know, I've not traveled to Delhi to meet Alex, and Alex didn't meet me when he came to Bangalore. Possibly, you know, now Nikhil is a new game in town. But I worked with his predecessor, you know, Dominic, and Dominic came to Bangalore to meet us again just 3 weeks ago. It was fantastic. And I worked with the Deputy High Commissioners in Bangalore. They've been very good people. And but, you know, I want a great digital partnership and a document signed between Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Prime Minister Modi the next time they meet. I want a digital partnership, a high-tech partnership, something exciting. I want a UK-India fund to be created for £1 billion to invest in startups with the India connection in the UK and UK connection in India. So both work together, because the CDC is doing a fantastic job in India. It has to be so much time bigger. I would like many PhD scholars from the UK to come and work in India in our research institutes, into companies. I would like maybe 20,000 UK young people in Bangalore working with the digital companies, because we are 2.1 million people working in the digital area in Bangalore. I would like to see it go by a scale of 10, because to me, UK India is a great partnership in the 21st century, because the UK has something India needs, that is, let us say, design, great products, innovative ideas, great deep technology. And India has something the UK needs in terms of a market, a great talent in software, and the ability to grow the economy in the next 7, 8, 10 years. In the next 10 years, India will add nearly $7 trillion to a GDP. Now that Brexit has come, in UK and India should join together, and we're going to see a burst of innovation. And we're going to celebrate that, put our history behind, look at the future, and get the future together and make it much, much more exciting.
Sorry, High Commissioner.
No.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, nod.
The only thing which doesn't grow by 10 is British public spending.
Yes. I've got to ask Jaynti really quickly before we wrap up a real crypto geeky question. Jaynti, Bitcoin, 69,000 in November. We were going to the moon. Look at Bitcoin today, 20,000. We've had lunar collapse. We've had Celsius freezing assets. We've got blue, whatever it's called, blue arrow, blue capital, whatever. Yeah, blue arrow in trouble. Is the crypto winter upon us? Is this why this room is so cold? What's happening?
I didn't expect this question from you. But I mean, this is cycle, macro level, this is happening with the stocks and everything. I think this is not a place where you can get away from crypto. It is a time where you can get into the crypto, right? And obviously, this is a very new market. People just understanding it. People are just getting into that. Yeah. So this will happen. There are some people who are not understanding the crypto very well, and then kind of took the leverage positions everywhere, and then got caught into some debt spiral. But I think in the future, this is the way to go for the whole internet or for decentralization web. Yeah. So I would say don't worry about that.
Unless you bought unless you bought at 69,000 in November. But now it always every 4 years it tends to sort of go back up again, doesn't it? In the cycles. Gentlemen, it was brilliant, High Commissioner. Thank you very much. Mohandas, Nikhil, and Jaynti, thank you so much. Brilliant.